Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Carl. This is number 81. Interestingly enough, the Hells Angels use the number 81 for a lot of their stuff, and that's something that has nothing to do with the rest of this episode. But anyway, here we are, and so you can tell I'm in my normal spot, right? And what I try to do, this is a luxury that happens after, several years of doing this stuff, is that you get to have space set up just for filming, if you have the real estate, right? So I built out this area above my garage, 4 or 5 years ago, I think. And it was in anticipation of doing this very thing. And what happens is like what happens with everybody. I mean, I'm sure if you're like me and you're, somewhat handy and you do a lot of your own stuff, there's a lot of things that are done just good enough so that they'll work, but you didn't quite finish them off. So right now I'm looking over there at a window that has no trim on it, and there's a lot of little odds and ends that just haven't been finished up. There's a beam right above me here that I should have wrapped at some point, but once it starts working just fine, you go, okay, good, and then you're done. So this area up here, as big as it is, and it's a huge room. I mean, this area up here, I had a friend come over from Sacramento, California, and she came up here and she was like, this would be like a $3,000 a month rental where I live. And I'm like, I got all kinds of junk in here. I mean, it's not junk, but I mean like piles of clothes and, my testing machine and camera stuff and these big giant baffles that I made for sound and like just stuff everywhere. So it's funny how fast stuff fills up space. And as a matter of fact, this is sitting above a garage, which was the first thing that I did when we bought this house. So we bought this house, I want to say it was 11 years ago. I mean, it not really matters, but anyway, just give you an idea, right? 11 years ago. And I was like, we had this little tiny garage, which was just like, you could tell at one point it might have been for horses or something because it was a dirt floor. It was built, but it was like, it was not going to work. You could barely fit a car in there. And if you did get the car in, you could almost open the door enough to get out. Usually you have to do kind of like one of those little sideways things, And so I was like, all right, we gotta knock that down. And of course my eyes are bigger than my stomach when it came to what I actually wanted to build, which was a garage, which was about 50 feet wide by 30 feet deep. And again, just coming from my background as a mechanic, I'm like, I want more room than I need. Instead of 2 feet between the garage doors, I want 4. I want to be able to open the door to my car all the way and not hit anything. And so, we built it. And it took a lot. It took special permits from people around me because the house and the garage are like approximately the same square footage, which isn't normal. But I think we did a nice job. And I love it. I love this thing. It sounds so silly to love a garage, but this is something that I've wanted almost my entire life, especially ever since I started getting into cars and wanted to work with them. It's a place to put my things that wasn't leaking. That was always a problem, was like water penetration in the other garage. So I'd have to go out there and I would spray my tools down with WD-40 regularly, which made them slick, but it also meant that they wouldn't rust as bad. And when I got this garage finished, the first thing that I did was set up my wire wheel, and I laid out almost every tool that I owned on this big 4x8 piece of plywood. And I took them all to the wire wheel, got all the rust off, hit them with another level or another coating of WD-40 just to kind of put some oil back in there and put them away. Because I was like, now I can have all these things that I've bought, keep them nice, and it just... It's funny how things mean something different to certain people. A lot of people will wonder, why somebody's so attached to this or that. And so many times it's kind of based on your background and your history, right? Like the reason I value this garage so much is because I never had one. I always wanted one. And the places that I was able to work out of or keep my car or whatever were always these leaky, terrible, glorified sheds. And, now I can be out here and work and up here and think and be creative. And that's quite a weave, but let me bring it right back to where I started, which was I'm in this spot because what my idea was to have different sets kind of set up. And you may remember the original Coffee with Carl set if you are, well, not the original one, because that was just literally at the couch. But the first one was at this leather chair that was in the corner right next to my desk. And I just said, this will work, it's fine. The problem with that one was it had me leaning way back, which number one isn't really good for your vocal projection. But the other thing is, it just, from a camera perspective, right, from a video perspective, I'm way back and my feet or my knees are out here. It's an awkward sort of thing to do. Now, it's not to say that it couldn't be done well, and I might revisit that, but we'll see. So I need to come up with another Coffee with Carl set. The second one, you may remember from the beginning of this year, was in that corner over there, and it had a table and a chair and then sort of like a blue, wall behind me. And my thought was, that'll be the beginning. I'm going to start putting like shelves back there, and I'm going to start putting things on them, and it'll sort of like be a spot that, again, will be the dedicated Coffee with Carl spot. It just didn't feel right. You have to sit in something for a while to like make sure it feels right. Like I've tweaked this set right here that you've seen time and time again on the main channel. More times than I could tell you. I mean, changing the angle of this table, how far it is from the back there. So you can see like, this is kind of the stuff that I can't talk about or just don't talk about on the main channel. You can see that I have the garage sign here, right? And I wanted that whole thing in the frame. And I also wanted the whole American flag in the frame. But when you shoot into a corner, it gives more depth, right? So if it's a flat thing behind me, it just looks like a newscaster or something. This gives you a little more depth. And then I can throw lights back there and make it look a little different and stuff. So this has taken a while to tweak. And now, I mean, if I make adjustments, they're very small. And so what I want to do is make that same kind of thing with the Coffee with Carl set. Someplace that reflects what we're doing here, which is this laid back, often rambling conversation. And it's totally unscripted, just like a place that you'd be sitting down. What I want you to almost picture is like you were sitting next to me and we're having this conversation, because that's ultimately what I kind of feel it is, So anyway, I have a lot of stuff to get to today, so I should probably shut the hell up because there's a lot of things, right? There's some new releases, but then there's a few other things that I want to talk about, so let's get into that. So the founder of Vortic Watch Company, whose name is RT Custer, he suffered a sudden medical emergency this summer, a massive stroke while he was traveling for work in Detroit. And now, luckily, he was taken within minutes to a level 1 trauma center where he got some clot-busting medication and had emergency surgery to remove a clot, which was blocking over 90% of his right cerebral artery. He spent 10 days in the hospital and then 10 days in rehab, relearning to walk and manage daily tasks. Doctors expect a full recovery, but neurological healing will take some time, which is they're expecting about 12 months. And probably 2 to 3 years before, coming back to the full demands of running a company. And so, RT's wife, Lindsay, has stepped in to help. But, I mean, that's just a lot, and the medical bills, we could talk about that until the cows come home, but have mounted. And so a lot of very good people who have known him and have dealt with Vortic Watch, have put together a GoFundMe. And, they've already raised a lot of money. Here I can see that they've already raised $89,000 of a $100,000 goal. So this obviously struck home with a lot of people. It's something I knew about for a couple of weeks, and I actually just wanted to clear it with a few people who know him to make sure it wasn't going to be, that it was okay to talk about, right? Like, I know that it's a weird thing, right? Like, if I was hurt, I really don't think I would want to, number one, tell people, but also I'd feel weird about asking for money. And not that he is, right? This was put up like in honor or whatever, or just to help him, probably without his knowledge. I don't know. I don't really know. But either way, I would feel weird about it. So I wanted to clear it with people who knew him and would know if it would be okay, right? And so this, he's got 2 kids, 2 young kids, a wife, a life, obviously here. And, this is just, it's a crazy thing. I get scared of this kind of thing because I hear it more and more, especially as I get older. And people who have had strokes. I have a friend who, how do I make this a short story? He was somebody who I met through the auto shop when I worked there. He was an accountant, really cool guy, and knew a lot, ran a bunch of companies, and was one of the people who sort of helped me get started on this, like from the business perspective. And one of the smartest people I've ever met. He also helped me when I was going to school at night with my accounting classes, and he had a stroke, which affected his brain in a way that he couldn't read anymore, which was a real blow because that was something that he loved to do. He was fine physically. It actually changed his prescription a bit. Strokes do crazy weird things. And the scary thing about them is that they're pretty much unpredictable and you don't know what the result's gonna be. We are such a fine balance of things happening, of electrical impulses and synapses and blood flow and, nutrient delivery. I mean, all these things. We're these electrified meat skeletons. Like, it's a wild situation that I'm even here talking to you and you're listening to me with ears that work. It's incredible. And when that system is interrupted, it can really do some crazy stuff. Now, the good thing is that the brain and the body are usually so, especially when you're in good shape, they're able to rebound usually in almost miraculous ways. And so, my friend who had the stroke, he eventually did learn to read again, but it was tough. It was, and I was like trying to talk to him. We're talking about RT here, but just relating it back to my own experiences here, because that's all I have to relate it to. When I was speaking to him, I was like, so what is it like? I mean, you look at a stop sign and you know what that says, but you can no longer recognize the characters, or when they're together, they don't make sense. Like, I'm sure you're seeing the same thing, but whatever is between his optical nerve and his brain was interrupted. So if you think about these big, interstates in your brain, it goes from here to there, the things you're doing all the time, and it's a fast process. Well, now you can do that same thing, but it's got to take the back roads, right? And over time, you can develop that, and it'll be okay. But neurological stuff is just a wild thing. And we're actually, the job I just left was a big 2-story neuroscience center. I don't even know how you begin dealing with that kind of thing. So anyway, looks like they're very close to their goal, but if this hits home and it kind of, tugs at your heartstrings the same way it did for me, I will leave the page below. It'll be the first link, so you can go and check that out. But, I'm happy to see so many people getting together. This has 583 donations. That's crazy. And, I'm not a watch guy per se. I have 2 or 3 watches that I really, really like. And you see most of the time, I don't even have one on right now. Most of the time I'm wearing my Apple Watch Ultra because it does the workout tracking and stuff like that. But I personally will try to support Vortic Watch based on, what I see here, a family-run small company. I would rather support that any day than some giant conglomerate run by a bunch of douchebags at a conference table, So anyway, that's the first thing, and everything else is going to be much more lighthearted. Promise. All right, so you may know Grant. Grant was the guy that you saw on all the Knicks Boots videos and stuff. He, for a while, it was almost like he was, not almost like, he was the face of the brand. He, if you tuned to any of their stuff, you saw him. And matter of fact, he was the guy who I spoke to when I first ordered my Builder Pros. Back, I don't know if they still do the same thing, but you used to get this try-on pair, which you would put on, which are approximately your size. And then you would call them and Grant would pick up and you'd talk to him and you'd be like, yeah, they're a little tight in the toe or whatever. The heel's slipping a little bit. And then they would make adjustments and then make your perfect pattern. Well, Grant, he left Knicks, I think about a year ago, and he started a leather goods business out of his garage, which just that in itself I find very admirable. I think that's the dream, I'm 44. I don't hide that fact at all. You could probably tell I got some grays going on in the beard here. I mean, it is what it is. I enjoy being 44. As a matter of fact, I'd rather be this age than any other age. And I think what you find when you're getting up there in age is different things matter to you. And not that I was ever really driven by money. Nothing I ever really did was driven by money, but I think now more than ever, I'm really looking more for peace, for a sense of family and community and just kind of living a quiet but respectable life. And I feel like that's kind of what Grant was able to do by escaping the rat race of being the general manager of a huge boot company and starting to do this. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like to, And again, having worked in construction for 21 years now, what is going on? Did Siri just hear me? Okay, I don't know. Siri's weird like that, and all your devices light up. But I can only imagine what it's like going from a big job where there's a lot of people and, just stress constantly. Your phone is never, done ringing, or emails are coming in constantly and just putting out fire after fire after fire, to getting up and walking out to your garage and putting on a podcast or some music and just hammering down and making some leather goods. That is so appealing to me. It is, I really admire, and I don't make leather goods. I have no plans on making leather goods, but that idea is it gives me the warm and fuzzies. I don't know. So I have a couple of his things here to show you, which are pretty much perfect. I know that I think it's the small goods or the leather goods, Patina Thunderdome is coming. And these would be perfect for that, because what he's doing now. The other thing I like about Grant is, we're friends. Let me just get this right out there. We're friends. Been friends with him since really we started talking. We're very similar people, and I've always enjoyed talking to him. And so he sent me these things, and sort of like, hey, check it out. This small goods Patina Thunderdome is coming up. These would be a good option. And what I like about him is that he's straightforward about everything. So even if you look on his website, it'll say like, this is a belt. There's nothing truly spectacular about this belt. It's just a belt. And what he does is he tries to make these things not in like the snob area of pricing and stuff. He brings them down to, I think it's probably as low as he can, while still making a profit. So you can still buy an American-made belt with American-made hardware, all not leather you haven't heard of before. This is stuff from Wicked and Craig and Horween and tanneries that being made by one guy, kind of, I don't want to say chasing his dream, but sort of, in a garage in Spokane, which is like, I don't know, I love that. I love, just like we were talking about with Vortic, I love the idea of supporting a company that somebody owns, not just shareholders. And to me, that means more than a lot. So anyway, I have a few goods to show you here. One that I'm actually wearing, so I gotta like take that off and I'll show it to you after, but let's get into it. So this first one is something that I've never seen before, and I think this is an original design. This is really cool. This, can you guess what that is just by looking at it? This is a tape measure holder. Now, if you've never carried a tape measure before, you might be wondering, why do I need an extra accessory? The tape measure already has a clip on it. That's true, but there's a couple things. First of all, this little clip, this is a Fat Max tape measure. This is kind of typical of what most people would be carrying. This was something I carried almost every single day for sure. This little clip right here, it's a nice idea, but it really doesn't slide over a thick leather anything very easily. So that clipping onto your belt is kind of difficult. This is just spring steel, and you can't adjust it. It will clip onto your pants or like a pocket, which I've done before, but then it's sort of like hangs off, right? And then you can lose them, which again, I've done before. The other thing that happens is sometimes if you're wearing a tool belt, there's a little basket you could put it in that's like this, and these things fall out like on the regular, especially when you're climbing around and all that stuff. It's an idea that's very specific and niche, but basically what happens is this little thing clips onto this little D-ring, and then it's hanging off of there, and it's really not gonna go anywhere. I mean, if you're moving around, there's so much flexibility in this that it's just going to kind of flex. It's gonna be on your belt. So this is a very specific thing that most people probably won't have. But if you're somebody who needs this, you're gonna go, oh, that's it. That's what I need right there. And so this is kind of cool. I like to see little solutions that, again, I've never seen before. And that's one that's really interesting. You also have stuff that you've seen before, like a little tiny card carrier. Now, there's another single card carrier, which I've been using. And I like that one mostly because I only carry like 4 or 5 cards. That's it. Make some cash, maybe, but not much more than that. And this is like a slight step up from that because it actually has 2 slots, which is, whoa, settle down there, okay? You know, I like 1 slot. But you know, it's super duper simple. There's nothing like fancy or, you know, like out of the ordinary here. I mean, like you're not getting like wild colored stitching and like, you know, some sort of, it's a plain, simple, well-made piece. And I kind of like that about it. It's sort of utilitarian. And what's interesting about this one too is okay, so I say that, but then on the other side, I'm thinking, Then again, look at this. It's got a corner that's like a 90-degree edge, right? And then it's got this other one that's like a radius. Why? It's just, so there's some little things that you can do. And I almost wonder if that's because that'll sit on the inside of your pocket and that might match the outside. I don't know, but cool little thing, you know? This last one, I think I've saved the best for last. Well, of course. This here is a holster. And again, just like this tape measure holder, this is a very specific thing for a very specific tool, which most people won't have. What I have here in front of me is the Stanley 199. In my opinion, this is the perfect blade. I love this. I have like 3 of these. They're not as fancy as the new ones with the, you know, the retractables and stuff like that. This blade stays out all the time, nice and secure in there. It does not pull or anything like that. I mean, that thing is locked in. There are blades in the handle, and it's just perfect in its simplicity. And they have done a few things here that are I wonder like why they did that. Okay, so like the decoration on it, they had this little floret thing at the top there. You know, it says in the back, "Made in USA." The checking on it. It's just, it's artistic in a way that it didn't need to be. And I think that's what's so appealing about it. It's like, it just has a really cool old school look to it. Now you can still find these everywhere. These are at yard sales and on eBay and all over the place for next to nothing. I think I bought my 3 as a group for like 19 bucks. Now, the one problem, they don't retract. So you're walking around and you got this razor knife all the time. It's not necessarily something you want to just jam in your pouch, or certainly not in your pocket or something like that. So I don't know if they were originally shipped with a sheath. I would think that they probably would be. What Grant's done is he's made his own sheath here. So this just holds your Stanley 199. It's cool because it's a specific sheath for a specific tool that most people don't carry. And the reason that they have that little rivet right there is because with that exposed blade, if you were to push that too far down, it would just cut right through the thread at the bottom, and then your sheath would be no good. But this thing holds your Stanley 199, and then it's ready for you when you need it. I don't know, man. I love that. There's a little Chicago screw that holds on this back piece here, which you can access through that little hole. So you can unscrew it if you wanted to service it or to clean it or whatever. So anyway, that is 5 Mile Mercantile. And his stuff is very patina ready, as you can see, with the exception of this guy right here. This is all like, I think this one is horsehide. Matter of fact, I believe all of these are horsehide. And they have that wonderful, can you hear this? That wonderful creaky sound. So anyway, there's a lot of small goods leather makers out there, enough that it's like, okay, I don't even know where to start. I like what he's doing here because it's a very kind of blue collar approach to things. You know what I mean? It's like, it's functional, it's well made, and it's affordable, and that's what he's got going on. So that's 5 Mile Mercantile. Now, Wrangler, there's a name you don't hear me talking about very often, except for Wrangler rigs, but Wrangler, just the main brand, has come up with their premium line of Wrangler Japanese selvage denim pieces. Really cool idea here. Now, you see Japanese selvage denim from a bunch of niche makers, and occasionally you'll see it make its way into the mainstream. That's what we have going on here. And often what you find is that because of the volume that they're buying, they're able to offer you a really great product for less. And I think that's kind of what we have here. So, for example, for $264.99, right, 265 bucks, you can get the men's raw Japanese selvage denim jacket. Looks awesome. Wrangler's done it for a long time, and I would venture to guess that a lot of these pieces aren't the really slim Japanese cut. I mean, it's Wrangler kind of cowboy stuff. So they also have some men's raw Japanese selvage jeans for $225. There is a worn Japanese selvage jean. So they have one that's a little distressed here. That's kind of cool. Again, 225 bucks. They have a couple of other ones too. There's a cone denim white oak selvage jean. So that's kind of cool. They're using a little bit of white oak stuff. I don't know how much of this they made, but obviously there was enough for these companies to keep making stuff from it for years. Part of me almost wonders if it was just like they knew that it was going away, so they bought a ton of cone fabric, white oak fabric, that is, more specifically. So there's a bunch of stuff here, but again, it's nice to see premium selvage denim from a brand that you probably know their cuts and you can trust that they're gonna be around for a while. So this is pretty neat. It's nice to see something that, you know, it's not $500 jackets, it's $265, which is still expensive, but you're getting some premium denim and stuff. So I just thought that was cool. It's nice to see Wrangler doing stuff like that. Proper Cloth. Now, this is a brand that I think was just over a year ago. I mean, I've known of the brand, but I bought some of their Japanese low twist flannels for last year's flannel roundup, and I was like, wow, you're getting a lot of flannel here for the money, a lot of shirt for the money, right? First of all, it's custom. So if you're a weird fit like I am with short, stocky arms and a short, stocky body, then, they got you covered. Not only that, though, but it's not garbage material, right? Like, so the fabrics are really nice. And so once I dialed in my fit, and one of my complaints was that the cuffs were a little bit tight for I have these gorilla wrists. And so I find sleeves, often the cuffs are very tight. I was able to open those up, and now they're awesome. So they have come out with a new line of flannels, actually 2 different lines, but the one I'm going to talk about here is their Jackson plaids. And there's a couple of different colorways in here that I wonder if you could guess which ones I really love. I mean, first of all, the Jackson plaids look really nice. They're a lot different than the heavy Japanese low twist, which is a more slubby kind of texture, which I know a lot of us like, but these are really, really cool. Now, there are a couple of different, it looks like there are a couple of different cuts here, because they have like a Western, and then they have their country plaid. So like, it depends on if you want the yoke and like, a few different, like a Western style or not. But some of the colors are really, really nice. Like, I'm looking right now, they have this blue and gold and red one, which is this very vintagey looking flannel. They have another orange, which, the blue, orange, and gold looks really nice. They have one called the rust and cream, which reminds me a lot of an Ironheart one that I bought last year. And again, they just, they look great. So it says here, this heavyweight tool has a wonderful slubby texture that gives it a rustic look and feel. It's woven in Japan with 12s, single ply construction, and thick yarns that make it hard wearing and especially great for off-duty dressing. Off-duty. This rust cream and yellow vintage inspired one. Okay, yeah. So it goes on and it tells you about the fabric and it tells you all about it. But I mean, I gotta tell you, for what are these things going for? $165. You can spend a lot more on flannels that give you less, that's for sure. Proper Cloth is a sleeper, I'm telling you. People who know about Proper Cloth love them, and then maybe aren't too quick to tell other people about it because it's like our little secret. Maybe the prices will go up. But for $165, a custom shirt that fits you and is made from some actually decent fabric, I gotta tell you, if I was spending $100 on flannels, I'd spend a little bit more to get that fit and stuff. And if I was spending way more, I would be mad at myself because these give you like most of the stuff that you're getting with those really expensive flannels for a lot less. You don't get the fancy schmancy details that you get like an Ironheart or a Samurai or something like that, but those are $360 flannels for a hell of a lot less. You're getting this. I think I could deal without the whiz bang fancy schmancy details. And so Proper Cloth is one of those ones that if you know, you know. And don't tell anybody because they might raise their prices. So like, I'm telling you, but don't tell anybody else, okay? Now I mentioned Wrangler earlier. Wrangler obviously is making some moves because they are now, they've partnered with Filson to make some collaborative pieces. And Filson. Obviously, if you've seen this channel or my other channel, you kind of know my feelings on Filson, I imagine, because I'm not shy about it and I tell everybody who will listen. They've done a version of their Packer coat and a few others, but this Packer coat is made now with Wrangler denim. I think it's 14.5 ounce Wrangler denim, and then it's lined with Filson's Mackinaw wool, which is different than it used to be. Now it's Italian sourced rather than Pendleton wool, and of course that shearling collar. You know what though? Can I just say this? I mean, now okay, let's just talk about the piece before I get into the style. There's a lot of external branding on it, which I don't like. I mean, there's a little Wrangler tab, which is okay, but then there's a giant Filson tag at the bottom, which I don't like. There's also Wrangler on all of the buttons here, and I don't really like that either, but whatever, it's okay. I can deal with that. Cool looking buttons are cool, so that's all right, but I don't like a bunch of tags. I don't like to advertise my stuff. Plus you have the Wrangler W on the pockets, which is fine, and it's like worked into the details. But I don't need a big tag on the outside telling people what it is. I just think it's just gaudy to me. I don't like it personally. And the denim is okay. It's not the selvage denim we were talking about before. This is just, they say Wrangler denim. There's Primaloft insulation, I assume in the sleeves. And this thing costs $750. And I think the regular Packer coat is a little bit more, if I remember. But then again, wool is more expensive. So you got to kind of give credit where credit's due and understand why they inflate the prices on some things. That being said, one of the issues that I've seen more than once is people who buy the Packer coat and go, I can't wear this. A lot of people buy this thing and it's like, it's such a look that they kind of feel like they're wearing a costume. That's what it is. So it's got that big collar, right? And you're like, oh, that is nice and looks cozy and warm and all that. And it looks great on the guy who's on a ranch in Montana, but in like downtown, I don't know, Scranton, Pennsylvania. I don't know. Does that, do you really want people always looking at you and going, yeehaw? You know, I mean, maybe if that's your look, maybe, but the Packer coat is a great idea, and I think it works well for people who need that kind of thing. I always like the longer coat, the coverage is nice and stuff, but with that big statement collar, it's like, it's a lot. I don't know. I've seen more people than I can tell you. Again, just on forums and stuff like that, people who have bought the Packer coat and then have sold it because they're like, I can't pull this off. If I show up to the office wearing one of these things, everybody's gonna laugh me out the door, or they didn't realize how bold a piece it is. Now, the good thing is that there's other pieces as well that are in this collection. So if this one, if this kind of idea is jiving with you, you like the Filson Wrangler thing, which I get it. There are a few other things in here. And so they have pants, they have a couple other jackets, they have some shirts. The pants and the shirts are just like combination, right? So they've combined the denim on like the top block, and then their waxed, I think it's their waxed twill on the bottom. I think it's their shelter cloth, one of the two, I don't know, on the bottom and on the back, which might be great if you're working out in this stuff and you need that. I mean, it's a cool look. I wouldn't personally wear it, but if you were to go try something, I mean, maybe, I don't know, $245, maybe this is a win for some people. Not me. They have some shirts with the same kind of like two-tone thing, which I think can look cool. I like two-tone with the shelter cloth or with wax material and then like regular material. That can look good. And then there are two jackets, one of which looks better than the other. So the Wrangler Filson denim work jacket is a nice looking jacket. This is $270. And it, I like it because this one looks like the most functional of the two. It has like a fleece lining on the inside, and I think it comes in maybe two colors. I don't know. I gotta click on the thing here, but you can see that it's the one I'm looking at here is black, and it's a nice looking jacket. I just think that style is it's a lot easier to pull off. It looks nice. It's got a corduroy collar, a black corduroy collar. Just looks like a little bit of that exterior branding that I don't really care for, but overall, not a bad product, not a bad price. And then we have the Wrangler / Filson Adventure jacket, which is more expensive. Now, this is their waxed material, Filson's wax material, with their wool insulation as well, in a slightly different makeup with a very big, what looks like a chain-stitched logo on the back that says Wrangler jeans, shirts, jackets, which is kind of cool and retro. I can see that. To buy something like that has a very bold statement on the back of it, I don't really like the idea of paying to advertise for a brand. To me, that just doesn't sit well. So let's read more about this one. I think it is lined in wool too. So, but you know what? Instead of guessing, let's just read the thing. It says ranch meets forest. Wrangler / Filson, two American workwear icons unite. Denim, wool, and wax canvas built to endure. Proven on the ranch, trusted in the timber. Yeah. We get it. Okay. This jacket is cut trimmer than our standard fit, so consider ordering up one size to be consistent with other Filson products. This guy here is made with their signature tin cloth waxed cotton, lined with Mackinaw wool and polyester insulation. Zip front closure, Wilton hand pockets, and button flap chest pocket with an adjustable hem. 14 ounce, 100% tin cloth on the outside, 24 ounce, 100% Mackinaw wool on the inside. And so it looks like the only thing that's Wrangler about this one is the sort of chain stitch detail on the back, which is admittedly kind of cool looking. But again, I mean, I gotta be okay with walking around with a jacket made by Filson that has a giant Wrangler thing on the back. It looks like that's the only thing that's Wrangler about it. This whole collection to me is sort of I don't know why. It doesn't really do much for me. And I know people were going wild over this thing, but there's nothing in here that has made me reach for my wallet once. And sometimes Filson, even modern day Filson, has come up with some things that I've been like, ooh, that does look pretty good. None of these really do that for me, so whatever. Can I just say one more thing about Filson? What the hell is going on with their models? Are they using AI models? I mean, that would seem like a strange thing to do when you could just go, hey, you know, Boris, put on that jacket and stand there. But there's something wonky going on with their models. And now it might just be in the editing, because sometimes if you edit a video, or not video, or if you edit a photo too much and you make it a little bit too HDR, right? You lift the shadows, you compress the highlights, it can look a little hyper realistic in all the worst ways. Maybe that's what's happening here. I can't really tell, but there's something a little uncanny about the models that I've seen in some of the recent stuff. I don't know what it is, and I'm not the only one to notice this. My buddy from Grove Furniture pointed this out as well, and I was like, thank you, I'm glad. Something about these people looks very creepy. I don't know what they're doing. Are these real people? Are they editing it strangely? I don't really know. Let me know what you think, because this is kind of bugging me, and honestly, it's sort of haunting my dreams too. So, like, just let me know your thoughts. You can get 30% off all of my merchandise right about now. Well, not right about now, right now, and over at Exclusive. So it was over a year ago that we put out a whole bunch of stuff. Right, there's the hat that I wear all the time, the CM logo shirt. The flag that says "Live Better," all that stuff is getting a little long in the tooth, and they're looking to sell all of the stock that they have. So what we've done is marked it down 30%, and you can go get what you want for 30% off, which is pretty significant. So if you've ever had your eye on any of my merchandise, go and get it now, because 30% it's no small amount. So go and snag yourself some CM stuff. It's all nice stuff too. So, you know, like the hat is from Dry Duck, and the shirt I think is from Comfort Colors. So like, you know, I wouldn't be selling any garbage. This is all nice stuff. So 30% off is pretty good. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, and then we're gonna get out of here, right? Tellason has this leather jacket that's on sale. I don't know why, and it appears to be available in all sizes. Okay, so what's happening, right? This might be a thing that kind of maybe I stumbled upon that might be a little bit of a hidden gem. This is their leather trucker jacket. It was originally $1,000. It's marked down to $699, which is, you know, $699, $700 is still a lot of money for a leather trucker jacket, but it's not $1,000, so $300 off. That's a lot. This is final sale, and so this is a leather trucker jacket style collaboration with Shangri-La Heritage in Italy, made with full grain cowhide leather from Tuscany, 100% viscose lining, 2 side pockets, 2 interior pockets, button front, made in Italy, and then they have a fit guide. All the reviews are 4 stars on this guy, and like I said, it looks that right now all size options are available. And so, if you were looking for the leather jacket that you know that's for you, I mean, this might be the one. And I always try to get you guys like as much as I can, you know, like 30% off, or this thing right here. Like this is a lot. Just that amount off of this piece. Go and snag it. If you're on the fence and you want a leather trucker jacket, this might be a great opportunity to get one for a lot less than it was originally. So again, a little bit of a flash in the pan thing there. I'm sure that by the time this video has been out for a few days, a lot of them will be gone, but go get yourself one if you were looking for this. All right, that's it for this episode. I'm sorry it was kind of rambling, but look, you saw the ride, you bought a ticket anyway, okay? I don't know what to tell you. We're gonna go to the patrons only segment right now, and to the rest of you, thank you so much for watching. If you're not a patron, consider subscribing. It's like $3 a month, and you get these videos first, ad-free, early access to regular videos, and then like I do a whole bunch of just like random sporadic giveaway stuff over there too. So if you've never checked out the Patreon, just go take a look. Maybe it's something you'd be interested in. But if not, the rest of you, I will see you later. Patrons, stick around.